Happy 2024. We're on our way out to a couple showings, and want to get into this video. Obviously see the topic there, talking about inspection versus appraisal, and I want to be very clear on kind of the differences of them, so people know this, because I think this is one of the most common myths out here in real estate. Especially from people that, they see these, homes that's got issues, like, oh, that home won't ever pass inspection. And I have a situation right now where I have a seller who bought the home a couple years ago, not me as their agent, they had another agent, and their agent told them that, your lender is going to do the inspection on it. And so they actually didn't do a home inspection. Which again, there's some gray area there, and by not doing the home inspection, they're forking out a little over 10 grand in foundation work. And again, I see a lot of houses with foundation issues, a lot. It's all fixable for the most part, and this is something that, if this popped up and I was on the buyer side, it'd be real tough for me to say, hey, even with them fixing, let's move forward. But anyways, we got it worked out and they're doing it, but they had no clue, because the realtor had told them, oh, don't worry about you're getting an inspection through your lender. So first and foremost, in a contract, the term inspection, right? This is something that is optional. You are not required to do any inspection on any home ever. It's not a requirement. So let's establish that. It's getting a little cold out here. Heat on. But if you are getting a loan, the lender will send an appraiser out there, and this is what people get confused with when they hear the term inspection, not pass inspection. They're usually talking about the appraisal. So the difference is, appraisal's basically got two jobs, right? They're going to go out and make sure what you're paying for the home, it's worth that, right? So they're going to go out and comp the home. And they're going to give what's considered the definite value. Hey, here's 5 comps, here's the value that I gave the home, and basically their opinion is what counts in the value of real estate. The other thing they're going to do, depending on what loan type you're going to do, they are kind of going to do an inspection. And what I would say is, I kind of group the government loans together, right? VA, right, so veterans. FHA, which is a very common loan for first-time buyers, requires 3.5% down, but it's government-backed. And USDA loan, another government loan, 100% financing, but you can only use it in rural areas. Those 3 loans essentially have the same requirements for the home. Can't be no safety issues, right? And when you think anything like how dumb the government is with stuff, think that about the house. There's some ridiculous stuff that the home, has to be, that why does it have to have that? But it does, right? You think government level safety stuff. So it has to have that. It has to pass all that. So a couple of these things that I see often, right? If it's an older home built before 1978, if it's got any chipping paint, that appraiser will flag that, and that paint will have to be, technically the term will be scraped and peeled and repainted. And then if there's a cracked window, right? Windows in bedrooms have to open and close. The heat has to work. This is a big one, right? The heat has to work. Home does not actually require to have an HVAC system. It just needs a permanent heat source, something that's attached in a wall, one of those wall gas heaters in the common area, right? It gets grayer on that, but they're just telling you some common things. Decking. There can't be no gaps of more than 4 inches, on railing for decking. It has to be so high as well. I think it was, I can't remember if it's 28 inches or 36 inches, something like that is the code. But those are some common things that you will actually see an appraiser flag. And once they flag that usually, there's some loopholes there, but those loopholes are like this big, tiny. Usually that means the seller, or, has to be negotiated. Those items will need to be fixed in order for the buyer to get the loan to close the home. So an appraiser can flag something, and if the seller's unwilling to fix it, deal falls apart. Boom, done. Buyer can't buy it. The seller does not have to give the buyer the right to fix it. They don't have to do that. it's very rare that an appraiser flags foundation issues. Very, very rare. What I kind of say about appraisers is usually they're a little more white collar. They don't go crawling in the crawl space, right, and getting dirty like an inspector technically should there. So for the most part, they're just going out there and doing their job. But it's a very light inspection. It's more so what meets the eye. They're really not doing a whole lot of testing, right? And again, all appraisers too are different. I've seen some go out and flag the dumbest thing. I had one that was a brand new deck, and the dang VA flagged it because the deck wasn't sealed, meaning it didn't have a paint on it, didn't have to seal it, and it's prone to weather damage. It's a brand new deck. What are we doing? And it had to be sealed, had to be painted. It's crazy. So I've seen some weird stuff, and I've seen stuff where, gosh, I had a house in Rockwood, talking with the seller, I said, man, if we accept this FHA loan, just know all these windows here are chipping paint, like there's a couple broken glasses in some exterior windows in like a detached garage. I was like, man, we're gonna get hit. Just be aware. We'll get it all fixed, no big deal. And the appraiser went out there and didn't flag nothing. Woo, great. So getting into this situation, that's where people hear the term, the home want pad. It's the appraisal, because that is definitely a requirement from there. Now, conventional loan, right, your strongest loan as a home buyer, the appraisal is much more lenient, right? You can buy a fixer-upper with everything not in good working condition and there's safety hazards and stuff. You can buy that with conventional loan, but at the same time, I've seen conventional loan flag some weird stuff, right? I've seen where there's a bedroom, they rip the carpet up, and it's just it's a subflooring, and the subflooring's fine, and I've seen it go conventional loan, no problem, and then I've seen one come back and it required finished flooring. Just literally went out there. I remember this deal. So it was one of my agents and the lender. They went out there, bought some essentially some exterior carpeting, put it in there, and stapled it down to pass, and it did. And then obviously the buyer, they knew they were doing the flooring and stuff like that, so they would just easily rip it up. But just stuff like that. So that's what the term is. It is the appraisal inspection, which the appraisal inspection will depend on the loan type. Of the difference. Inspection is actually optional, 100% optional. They usually cost between $400 and $600. They base it on the location and square footage of the home. There's 1,000 inspectors out there, and in general, I always tell people this. I always recommend. We always recommend this. Is a typical inspection and a termite if the home is like a home that potentially could have termites. We always do that. I've seen termite damage, I've seen crazy stuff. Homes look good, come back, and there's weird issues. So I always recommend that. Now, there's a lot of stuff they're going to upsell you on, right? Inspectors don't get paid unless you book them, right? They're only booked a limited number of times. So some of these out there, they're salesmen, and they're looking to upsell you on radon and mold and all these cameras and stuff. And what I would tell her is do whatever makes you feel comfortable. If you want to do it all, do it all. Absolutely. You're not going to, I'm not anti any of that. But what I tell people is if I'm buying a home, that's all I do. I don't do this other stuff. But as always, guys, if you have questions on any of this stuff, real estate appraisal, inspection, what's what, how it means, just feel free to holler. I'm happy to answer any questions anytime. Y'all have a great day. Go Vols.